Lu Jingnian would eventually succeed in his rebellion. When he came to propose to me again, I still chose to refuse him, even though I knew I could become empress. Because I had been reborn. This time, I would no longer stand between him and his beloved first love. But he refused to let go. Ah Yuan, you are my empress, he insisted. I pushed his beloved toward him. Childhood sweethearts, a couple since youth, truly devoted to each other. That's what a true imperial love story should be. One. I won't marry him. I pushed away my older brother, who was trying to stop me. Father's face darkened with anger. What kind of behavior is this? I didn't say a word. I gave him a proper bow, then turned my gaze directly to Lu Jingnian. Lu Jingnian turned to see me, and for a moment, panic flickered in his eyes. But he quickly steadied himself and stood to bow politely. Miss Quan. Master Lu, I already turned you down the other day. Why have you come to propose again? There was a flash of anger in my eyes, and my voice sharpened without meaning to. Lu Jingnian kept apologizing. Miss Quan, I've admired you for a long time. It was love at first sight. Even after seeing you just once, I couldn't forget you. I wish to marry you and never leave your side for the rest of my life. His words pleased everyone present, but I called out sharply, absurd. You already have a wife and child. How can you speak of marriage again? At that, the flush drained from Lu Jingnian's face. He fumbled to explain. Miss Quan, it's true that I have a concubine at home. I've wronged you in that regard. But if you agree to marry me, you would be my rightful wife. But this time, having been reborn, I didn't want to hear his explanation. I didn't want to be tangled up with him again. Even if he would one day rise in rebellion and succeed. Even if he would become emperor. Even if I would become empress. My father and brother hadn't expected such a good match to take such a turn. They were stunned into silence. Seizing the moment, I had someone escort the presumptuous Lu Jingnian out of our house. 02. In my previous life, Lu Jingnian rose up during the chaos and led an army. By the time he proposed to me, he was already a powerful warlord ruling his own territory. My father and I gladly accepted the proposal. But after the wedding, I discovered he already had a wife and child. To strengthen his forces, he had demoted his beloved first love to a concubine. Later, when he claimed the throne, he didn't break his promise. He made me empress. But me as empress? I was nothing but a joke. He showered his concubine with favor and stripped me of power. In the end, one imperial decree wiped out the entire Quan family. Now that I had a second chance at life, I wasn't about to repeat the same mistakes. 03. Even after I publicly turned him down that day, Lu Jingnian still refused to give up. He kept trying to see me, again and again. He put on a performance of sincerity and affection. My father and brother were moved by him and took turns trying to persuade me. Ah Yuan, your father's judgment isn't wrong. Lu Jingnian, he has a future. If you marry him, you'll rise with him. I understood what father wanted. He hoped I'd be happy, and he hoped the Quan family would prosper alongside me. But father, people change, and emperors are heartless. Don't bother trying to persuade me anymore. I know exactly what I'm doing. But father, whether or not Lu Jingnian becomes your son-in-law, our family should still help him. If you don't want to marry him, why help him at all? Father asked, confused. I paused, gently placing a black chess piece, and said slowly, the people of this land have suffered long enough. The sooner the chaos ends, the better. In my past life, I had loved Lu Jingnian. I had hated him too. But after sitting on the Empress's throne long enough, I realized some people are trapped in love. Others are still struggling to survive. In this life, I want to help those people. You're the head of this family, so we'll do as you say. Father sighed. I only hope you don't end up ruining yourself or this family. 04. When Lu Jingnian sent another round of gifts to our estate, I told the steward to deliver an invitation to his concubine. The steward was puzzled. Miss, why send an invitation to Master Lu's concubine? He clearly disapproved. He believed that no matter what I decided, I should never associate with Lu Jingnian's concubine, lest it draw criticism. But I didn't agree. You didn't get it wrong. Just go. Right now, Jiang Zhao was just an insignificant concubine. But in the future, she would be Lu Jingnian's favorite, the noble consort of Great Zhou, and the mother of the crown prince. Others might not understand Jiang Zhao's importance to Lu Jingnian, but I knew it all too well. Every time I so much as had a minor conflict with her, Lu Jingnian would face me with a cold expression and say, "Empress, if it weren't for Zhao carrying flatbread on her chest to bring me food, I would have died in prison. If it weren't for her connections, who knows who the emperor would be now? Empress, I can't let her suffer. I can't let her regret helping her husband rise to greatness." He might as well have told me directly that the empress's seat had been gifted to me by Jiang Zhao. He was always so concerned that Jiang Zhao shouldn't suffer. But he never once considered the person who made her suffer was him. Before raising his army, he was just a farmer who married his childhood sweetheart. After setting his sights on ruling the empire, he needed support from noble families, so he made his wife into a concubine. Lu Jingnian blamed me for not knowing my place, for not stepping aside. But he forgot. When he proposed to me, he deliberately hid that fact from me. 05. When Jiang Zhao arrived, there was a little tail following behind her. The future Emperor Wu Luzheng. He clung tightly to Jiang Zhao's hand, his eyes filled with wariness. A 7-year-old boy, like a little wolf cub, stood protectively in front of his mother. Jiang Zhao looked slightly embarrassed as she greeted me.
"Greeting, Miss Quan."
"I hope you're well." "Good day to you, madam." I smiled and invited her to sit. Jiang Zhao was slightly startled, but then offered a quiet thank you. "You're not like what I imagined," she said after a long silence. I took a sip of tea and smiled. "To a Yuan, you're not quite what I imagined either. I invited you here today because I want to make a deal with you." At the word deal, Jiang Zhao trembled. Her face turned pale. Seeing his mother like that, Lu Zheng immediately stood in front of her. "If Miss Quan is here to humiliate my mother, then we won't stay." When Lu Jingnian arrived at my home, Jiang Zhao and Lu Zheng were kneeling in front of my father. 06. When Lu Jingnian saw the scene before him, his eyes reddened slightly, and a flicker of killing intent flashed across them. But he quickly hid it all away. He rushed forward and pulled his wife and son up, shielding them behind him. That defensive posture, it was exactly the same as in my previous life. He had always been like this. Every time Jiang Zhao and I had a disagreement, he would always shield her first. He never asked what had happened. He just defended her blindly, no matter the cost. "Miss Quan, what are you trying to do here?" Lu Jingnian's voice was low and hoarse, laced with accusation. Jiang Zhao tugged lightly at his sleeve. "Husband, don't be like this. Xu Hua is a good girl." Before she could finish, Lu Jingnian cut her off. Zhao, don't be afraid. I'm here." He patted her hand, his tone softening unconsciously. The two of them, affectionate and full of tenderness, truly looked like a couple to be envied. My father, seeing Lu Jingnian act like this, was naturally displeased. "Master Lu, what do you mean by that?" Father's gaze held a spark of anger. Lu Jingnian's distrust was like a slap across the face for the entire Quan family. Even though Lu Jingnian was now a man of great power, the pride of a noble house could not be trampled. Father didn't even bother to explain. He stepped forward and stood protectively in front of me, directly confronting Lu Jingnian. "Our Quan family may be a noble clan, but are you suggesting we'd bully your wife and child?" The two men stood face to face, a standoff clearly brewing between them. Just as the atmosphere was becoming irreversibly tense, Lu Zheng stepped forward and placed himself between them. He bowed with grace and composure, neither arrogant nor submissive. "Father, grandfather, please don't be angry. Today's misunderstanding is all my fault. I left the house without leaving a proper letter behind and almost caused confusion between two elders." His words were skillful, taking the blame entirely upon himself while subtly clearing up the misunderstanding. The boy spoke with clarity and logic. No wonder he would become Emperor Wu in the future. At such a young age, his intelligence and emotional maturity already far surpassed the average. Father looked at the young boy and couldn't help the glimmer of admiration that passed through his eyes. His anger eased considerably. Lu Jingnian, on the other hand, was stunned by what his son had just said. "Grandfather?" Lu Jingnian repeated in disbelief. Lu Zheng blinked and spoke playfully. "Of course, father. Today is Mother's Day to be officially recognized by her family." Lu Jingnian pondered over the words, officially recognized by her family, and in that moment, everything clicked. So his wife and son were kneeling not in submission, but in ceremony, being accepted by a new family. He had grown up with Jiang Zhao and naturally knew her background. Now that they spoke of official recognition, the Quan family would likely announce her status as a legitimate daughter. Noble families held bloodlines in the highest regard. Only a legitimate daughter would garner widespread support. In a flash of realization, Lu Jingnian understood it all. He couldn't help but admire the Quan family's precision and foresight, and he admired Miss Quan's magnanimity even more. Yet for some reason, he felt an empty ache in his chest. Lu Jingnian bowed deeply to my father. "I was in the wrong. Business affairs have been chaotic lately, and I lost my composure. I ask for father-in-law's forgiveness for my rashness." Seeing his sincere expression and not a trace of resentment, father's expression finally softened. "My good son-in-law, it's not your fault. Everything happened so quickly, we didn't have time to inform you." He smiled and turned to the steward. "Today, the Quan family has found our long-lost eldest daughter. The whole estate will receive a reward. Pick a good day to invite the family elders and have her name entered into the family register. Also, invite friends and relatives for a proper celebration." 07. I knew father's joy came from the bottom of his heart. Anyone with sense could tell, unless something unexpected happened, Lu Jingnian was destined to be the next emperor. But his wife, Jiang Zhao, came from humble origins, with no powerful family behind her. Her path to becoming empress would be near impossible. Now, the Quan family was giving her their full support when she needed it most. In the future, she would surely be grateful. With her now recognized as the eldest daughter of the Quan family, her social status surpassed even that of the emperor, who had once been a mere farmer. Her becoming empress was now all but guaranteed. And the Quan family would become the empress's natal family. Lu Zheng, as the empress's son, would naturally become crown prince with unquestioned legitimacy. Most importantly, Lu Zheng had a good heart. He would remember this kindness. This was a win-win situation. Under my guidance, everything fell neatly into place. I caught Lu Jingnian's gaze and smiled brightly. "Brother-in-law, I have more to discuss with my sister and little nephew. I'll have to borrow them a bit longer." Lu Jingnian's expression shifted slightly. A trace of melancholy flickered through his eyes. Jiang Zhao didn't notice. She shyly tugged at his sleeve and whispered, "Husband, second sister called me. I'll be back soon." Lu Jingnian smiled and clapped his hands lightly. "Go on, my lady." Jiang Zhao brought Lu Zheng and followed me to the back courtyard. "Second sister, earlier it was my husband and I who were out of line," she said, stepping forward, intending to kneel in apology. But I quickly pulled her up. "Sister, there's no need for such formality." Lu Zheng helped me lift her as well. Seeing that I truly wasn't angry, Jiang Zhao finally breathed a sigh of relief. To outsiders, she might seem cunning or calculating. But having dealt with her in my past life, I knew she was one of the most sincere people I'd ever met. Lu Jingnian saw her as his first love, his most trusted companion, even a comrade who had stood by him in life and death battles. He protected her with everything he had. That was why, in my past life, he had been so afraid I'd hurt her. After all, I was a daughter of a noble family, someone he believed to be full of schemes. In his eyes, my cunning and strategy rivaled his own. "Auntie, I'll remember what you've done for us. Lu Zheng said to me solemnly. No matter what happens in the future, I'll make sure you're safe. 08. At first, when I said I wanted Jiang Zhao to become my elder sister, Lu Zheng had looked at me with shock, suspicion, and disbelief. But now, his eyes were filled with gratitude. Jiang Zhao might not have realized the significance, but as the future Emperor Wu, who would strike fear across the land, Lu Zheng understood exactly what he had gained. Legitimacy. No matter how many women his father took in the future, none would be able to shake his position. Elder sister, you and Jing should stay here at the manor for now. I'll invite the best teachers for both of you. We'll go over the social norms and marital alliances among noble families, along with proper etiquette. I'll personally assist the teacher in guiding you. As for Zheng, it's time for him to study under great scholars, and I'll also find the best martial arts instructors for him. I quickly laid out my plans. Right now, Jiang Zhao was too weak. Anytime something happened, she would look to Lu Jingnian or to Lu Zheng. But now that I was raising her to the position of empress, her battlefield would be the inner palace. The Lu men were still men. They couldn't protect her at every moment. As for Lu Zheng, the real reason I wanted him to stay was so that he could develop true ties with the Quan family. As I expected, Lu Zheng didn't resist my arrangements. He nodded to his mother, then turned to me with a bright smile. Thank you for making these arrangements, Andy. My mother and I will be in your care for the time being. No trouble at all, I said, smiling as I patted the future emperor on the head, deeply satisfied. There's nothing more reassuring than raising the emperor with your own hands. Tonight, some of our closest family friends will attend a banquet. There's no time to have custom outfits made for you and elder sister, so I'll have someone bring ready-made clothing from the boutique. You both can choose what you like. We shifted the topic to everyday things and began chatting like family. The atmosphere between the three of us became surprisingly warm. No one would have guessed that just half a day ago, we were practically at each other's throats. Lu Zheng had even harbored killing intent toward me. 09. Lu Zheng and Jiang Zhao officially moved into the Quan residence. Lu Jingnian looked at me several times as if he wanted to speak, but in the end, he remained silent. 10 days later, the Quan family opened the ancestral hall to formally welcome back their long-lost eldest daughter, Quan Shuyue. Quan Shuyue knelt reverently before the ancestral tablets, offering incense with flawless ceremony. But just as she placed the incense into the burner, a long arrow came flying through the air. The attack happened so quickly, no one saw it coming. Lu Jingnian, who was closest to Jiang Zhao, didn't even hesitate. He threw himself in front of her. The arrow pierced straight into his chest. Seeing this, I cursed in my heart. Idiot. Couldn't you just push her away? And now look, Lu Jingnian had been injured in my house. Even if I jumped into the Yellow River, I couldn't wash myself clean of this. The ancestral hall plunged into chaos, and I shouted sharply, "No one move. Stay exactly where you are, or don't blame me for being merciless. Father, take elder sister and brother-in-law somewhere safe. I'll go see what's going on." Father looked at me, concerned, but he quickly nodded. By now, Lu Jingnian was drenched in blood and had already lost consciousness. Jiang Zhao held him in her arms, her face deathly pale, completely at a loss. Lu Zheng didn't look much better, but he still stepped forward to comfort his mother. As I passed by Lu Zheng, I stopped and looked down at the boy. "Zheng'er, do you want to stay here to care for your parents, or come with Annie to see what's happening?" Lu Zheng looked up at me. His eyes were filled with unwavering determination. "I'll go with Auntie." Hearing this, Jiang Zhao instinctively gripped his hand tighter. She was trembling, her mouth opened several times, but she couldn't speak. Lu Zheng gently patted her hand. "Mother, with father gravely injured, I'm the man of the house now. Besides, shouldn't I see clearly who our enemy is?" Jiang Zhao was silent for a moment before slowly releasing his hand. In that instant, she seemed to mature. She no longer wept in panic, but instead looked at her son with calm strength.
Go, Zheng'er.
"I'll take good care of myself and your father."
10.
Lu Zheng and I, both wielding swords, stepped out of the ancestral hall. Outside, the streets were already in complete turmoil. Soon, someone rushed up to report. Miss Shuhua, today troops from Jiangzhou and several neighboring regions disguised themselves as refugees and infiltrated Yizhou. They coordinated from inside and out and launched a surprise attack. Many civilians have already been slaughtered in the streets. They're not even sparing the children. I clenched Lu Zheng's hand tightly, my eyes turning bloodshot. Send orders. Lock down the city gates. Kill every last invader who set foot in Yizhou. No prisoners. The servant hesitated at my words, then tried to advise me. Miss, killing those who surrender is an ill omen. An ill omen? I let out a cold laugh. What do I care about omens? My people are being slaughtered. These animals, these demons, they all belong in hell. Pass the order. No mercy. With that, I took the reins handed to me and swung up onto my horse in one fluid motion. Once I was seated firmly, I bent down and lifted Lu Zheng onto the horse in front of me. He sat upright and said firmly, Auntie, you did nothing wrong. Yizhou belongs to the Quan family. The people here are ours. You avenged them, and that's what's right. A warmth rose in my chest as I looked ahead, my gaze unwavering. This disaster hadn't happened in my past life. Maybe it was because the Quan family allied with Lu Jingnian too early this time, which drove our enemies to desperation. I hadn't expected they'd be bold enough to try assassinating Jiang Zhao, just to sabotage our alliance. Fortunately, Jiang Zhao and Lu Zheng weren't fools. Otherwise, Yizhou would have descended into utter chaos. 11. As soon as I appeared with Lu Zheng, the restlessness among the Lu family's troops immediately died down. Lu Zheng swept his sharp gaze across the soldiers below. Though many of them were still unconvinced, they respectfully bowed to him. Greetings, young master. Lu Zheng gave a slight nod. You've all worked hard. Today was supposed to be a joyous day, but it turned into a disaster. My father was injured, and such a blood debt cannot go unavenged. I ask you, uncles and elders, to fight alongside me and take revenge for my father. Kill. With just a few words, he rallied everyone's spirit. This was exactly why I brought him. Only Lu Zheng could truly command the loyalty of the Lu family's troops. If I had stepped forward, they would never have submitted. But as the young master, Lu Zheng's words carried more weight than anyone else's. He did an excellent job. A few short sentences, and morale was restored. I looked at him with genuine admiration in my eyes. I led him up to the city walls. Then, turning to the Quan family troops, I shouted, They've violated our borders and slaughtered our people. They must die. Sons of the Quan army, raise your weapons and avenge your families. Follow me, and we'll butcher these invading wolves.
Kill. Kill.
Kill. With tears brimming in my eyes, I looked out at the battered city, and a fire of vengeance surged in my chest. At my command, the thunderous roar of soldiers filled all of Yizhou. This battle lasted 3 months. With Lu Zheng fighting beside me, the Quan and Lu troops perfectly coordinated their attacks. Lu Zheng went from trembling at the sight of blood to showing nothing but calm composure. During that time, Jiang Zhao stayed by Lu Jingnian's side, caring for him as he lay unconscious. 12. That day, after we had finally stabilized the situation, Lu Zheng and I decided to take a day of rest. He wanted to visit his parents, whom he hadn't seen in days. And I, too, felt it was time to check on Jiang Zhao, so we returned to the Quan residence together. These days, Jiang Zhao had been emotionally and physically exhausted. Her husband's life was hanging by a thread, and her son was constantly on the battlefield. When I saw her again, I almost didn't recognize her. The fearfulness in her demeanor was completely gone. Elder sister, how is brother-in-law? He hasn't woken up yet, but the doctor said his condition has improved significantly, Jiang Zhao replied while adjusting her son's clothing. I stepped closer to look at Lu Jingnian, and my mind began to race. Should I take this chance to kill him? I weighed the feasibility of killing Lu Jingnian now, the benefits I'd gain, the risks I'd face. Just as I was lost in those thoughts, the man lying on the bed opened his eyes. His sharp gaze locked onto those standing beside him. In a low voice, he said, "Empress, it was my fault. I shouldn't have." The moment I heard that, it felt like a thunderclap inside my head. My eyes darted to Jiang Zhao and Lu Zheng. Jiang Zhao's face lit up with a mix of joy and confusion, while Lu Zheng's expression turned contemplative. In that instant, I knew he had been reborn too. A cold jolt ran through me. I forced myself to remain calm and replied evenly, "Brother-in-law, you're talking nonsense. The world's future is still unclear, and I am Quan Shuhua, not elder sister." "Elder sister, hurry and call the doctor. Brother-in-law must be badly hurt." I interrupted Lu Jingyan before he could say more, because I knew what he wanted to say. He wanted to apologize for killing my entire family. He wanted to say it was his fault. He regretted pushing me, the capable empress, to death. But in this life, I had already come to understand it. After Lu Jingyan ascended the throne, he spent all his time suppressing the Quan family, suppressing me. It wasn't because he couldn't distinguish right from wrong. He was afraid. Afraid that the next emperor wouldn't be able to control the Quan family. Afraid of meddling from the maternal clan. Afraid of losing his hold on the throne. Jiang Zhao, startled by his words, snapped back to attention and rushed over to feel Lu Jingyan's forehead.
No feber.
"Why would he mistake you for someone else?" she murmured, puzzled. Lu Zheng glanced at me, then at his father, and quickly lowered his head. My heart was caught in my throat. I found a quick excuse and left the room. 13. I sat in the study, uneasy. I had calculated everything, weighed the risks, considered the power dynamics. But I never accounted for one thing. Lu Jingyan had been reborn too. I could easily handle the current Lu Jingyan, but I wasn't so sure about the future founding emperor. My fingers tapped aimlessly against the table, but the knot in my chest wouldn't loosen. I didn't even notice when Lu Zheng came in. "Auntie," lost in thought. His youthful voice made me jolt. Truly, he was worthy of being the future Emperor Wu, keen-minded beyond his years. Most people wouldn't believe such things, wouldn't bother to verify them. But not Lu Zheng. I knew this was his test. After a brief moment of thought, I smiled and replied, "Today's constant fighting, those refugees are giving me a headache." Lu Zheng studied me carefully and asked again, "Auntie, is there really nothing else bothering you? What could I possibly be worried about?" I smiled back. Seeing that I didn't show anything unusual, he let the matter drop and began discussing other issues with me. We talked for a long while. As we wrapped up, Lu Zheng said, "Auntie, you're incredibly talented. I'm curious, what are your goals in life?" His question made me pause. If, once upon a time, my ambition had been to be second only to the emperor himself, then now my goal was much simpler.
14.
I want peace for the world, I said quietly, and I want to become the first female prime minister. I dream of a world where everyone has a roof over their head, where no scholar or poor soul is left in the cold. I want to give women who see no way out a chance to live. I shared my thoughts plainly. Lu Zheng was clearly stunned, but soon his face broke into a bright, genuine smile. "Auntie is no ordinary woman. Of course your wishes will come true." "I believe so too," I nodded. Lu Zheng left contentedly, while my back was soaked in cold sweat. Neither he nor his father were easy to deal with. I sat on the stool for a long time, and finally let out a quiet sigh. Perhaps this was fate. For a while after that, the servants said that Lu Jingyan showed no signs of abnormal behavior. He seemed exactly the same as before, as if everything that had happened that day had just been a figment of my imagination. A few more days passed, and peace was restored along the borders of Yizhou and Jiangzhou. Lu Jingyan could walk again. I handed all the responsibilities over to my father and elder brother. 15. Once I finally had some free time, I sat leisurely in my courtyard, making tea over a small stove. Just as I was adjusting the teaware, an annoying voice broke the calm. "Dear sister-in-law, may I trouble you for a cup of tea?" He emphasized the words sister-in-law and brother-in-law, his tone laced with amusement. My hand paused mid-motion, but I quickly recovered and continued as if nothing had happened. Of course, it would be an honor for your little sister. I followed along with his words. But what I didn't expect was for Lu Jingnian to suddenly lose control and grab my hand. Yuan, I know you've been reborn too. How can you act so calm, so composed? I don't understand. How can someone like you, once so full of ambition, hand over the Empress's throne so easily? Yuan, you're the one who is always meant to be my Empress. I didn't mean to do what I did back then. The Quan family was too powerful. I had to limit their influence and send a warning. I never expected it would lead to your family's destruction. I never thought someone as steadfast as you would choose to take your own life. Give me another chance. Let's start over. He went on and on, trying to explain away the past. But time changes everything. I smiled and pulled my hand away. Childhood sweethearts, a couple from youth, deeply devoted to each other. That's the kind of love story that belongs to an emperor and empress. Brother-in-law, don't you agree? Sister, what do you think? I turned my eyes to look behind Lu Jingnian. Jiang Zhao was standing there, pale as a ghost. She bit her lip, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. She looked so fragile, as if one gust of wind might shatter her. Lu Jingnian's expression froze, and for a moment, he was completely lost. He didn't want to hurt either woman. He wanted to enjoy the best of both worlds. But I was going to make him choose. He would have to choose Jiang Zhao. Would he abandon the wife who had shared all his hardships? Or turn away from the now-legitimate eldest daughter of the Quan family? I'd like to see him try. Lu Jingnian quickly realized he'd walked straight into a trap. He shot me a resentful look, then turned to chase after Jiang Zhao. Watching them disappear from view, I sighed softly. This world ought to have some fairness. One man shouldn't get all the benefits. Smoke curled up through the air, and the scent of tea lingered. Since the heavens had given me a head start in this game, then this time I had to win.
16.
Lu Jingnian spent a long time coaxing Jiang Zhao. Eventually, they reconciled and were as affectionate as ever. But the next time I saw her, I knew they would never go back to what they once were. Jiang Zhao gently took my hand and leaned in to whisper, "Little sister, that lesson of yours nearly tore my heart in two. But thank you. You helped me understand that the only people I can truly rely on are myself and my son." I looked into her eyes. There was no sorrow, no hatred, only a still, unshakable calm. Love and hate, they really can make someone grow up overnight. It's good that you figured it out, sister. I meant it. From the bottom of my heart, I saw it as a good thing. 17. War broke out again in the north. Lu Jingnian decided to lead the Lu family's army to reclaim the northern lands, intending to wipe out the scattered smaller factions afterward. I knew, with memories from his past life, he would establish a new dynasty even faster this time. Before he left, he came to see me once more. Yuan, if you want it, the title of Empress is still yours. Take some time to think it over. This time, I won't repeat the mistakes of my past life. His gaze was full of longing, but to me, it was revolting. Brother-in-law, I said, lowering my head to hide the murderous glint in my eyes, please don't cross the line. He sighed and left with regret.
18.
The northern lands were far away. As they were about to depart, Jiang Zhao lingered, reluctant to leave her son. She finally placed his hand into mine. Zheng'er, from now on, you'll follow your aunt. You must respect her just as you respect me. Her words made me uneasy. I had a vague sense of what she was planning. I opened my mouth several times but didn't know what to say. Lu Zheng looked at his mother, then at me. After a long silence, he nodded solemnly. He knelt and bowed deeply to Jiang Zhao. Mother, take care of yourself. Our family must stay safe and whole. Though it was just a parting, it felt to me like a final farewell. Elder sister, Jiangnan is a good place to settle down. Why not stay and watch Zheng'er grow up? I tried to persuade her, but Jiang Zhao only smiled and shook her head. She stepped closer and said softly, I understand the meaning of gratitude. And besides, he still has his eyes on you. I know you want no part of it. You helped me and you helped Xinger. Now it's my turn to help you. I know you're capable, resourceful. Even without me, you would have found a way out. But just this once, let me be the one who gets her hands dirty." Her tone was so calm, yet her words left me shaken. After a long silence, I composed myself, then removed a hairpin from my hair and placed it in hers. "It's colorless and tasteless. I hope all your wishes come true and that you live a peaceful life." She thanked me quietly, then finally turned and left. Once Jiang Zhao's figure had disappeared, Lu Jing turned to me, eyes red, and wrapped his arms around me. "Auntie," he said with a choked voice, "will Mother come back?" "She will," I said, gently stroking his hair to comfort him. "Auntie will have someone watch over her." I knew what Jiang Zhao intended to do. Lu Jing knew it too. They wanted to repay their debt. And they were afraid of losing everything that rightfully belonged to them. So they made the greatest choice. 19. The war in the north dragged on, but in our quiet southern courtyard, Lu Jing never stopped studying. 5 years later, good news came from the front. The war was finally nearing its end. My eyes gleamed. I knew the best opportunity had arrived. A carrier pigeon took flight from my hand. Lu Jing stood beside me in silence for a long time, but in the end, he said nothing. Soon after, the northern armies celebrated a great victory. Lu Jingnian personally designated a northern city as the capital of the new dynasty. But what no one expected was that on his return journey, the new emperor was ambushed. He'd already suffered from lingering illnesses over the years, and now, with fresh wounds from the assassin's blade, he nearly died on the spot. Though he survived, he fell into a coma again. Seizing the opportunity, Jiang Zhao took control of the situation and ordered someone to escort Lu Jing back to oversee the court. "Zheng'er, are you afraid?" I asked gently, holding the hand of the not-quite-grown young man. Lu Jing turned and gave me a small smile.
"No."
"I'm not afraid." Just as we were about to board the carriage for the capital, my personal guard, stationed at Jiang Zhao's side, returned, covered in blood. "Miss, the Lu family's deputy general has rebelled. Lord Lu's fate is unknown, and Madame Lu has been placed under house arrest. I wasn't strong enough to get her out." Upon hearing this, Lu Jing could barely stay seated on his horse. "Don't panic," I said, quickly stepping forward to calm him. Then I turned to my most trusted aide. "At all costs, bring my sister back alive. Everything else, forget it." 20. This sudden coup completely derailed my original plan. I had wanted Lu Jingnian to die after his coronation, then help Lu Jing take the throne. But I hadn't anticipated the pack of wolves around him growing bold the moment he fell. I spent the entire night thinking and finally devised a new strategy. When I opened my door at dawn, I found Lu Jing standing outside, completely dazed. Judging by his expression, he hadn't slept either. He was still just a child, after all. With both of his parents in danger, of course he was scared. I had breakfast brought up, and only after he quietly finished did I speak. "With the North in chaos, if we return now, we'll have no advantage. Instead, we should first formalize your status, then raise arms under the pretext of suppressing rebellion. My people will protect your mother." Lu Jing paused mid-bite. Slowly, he looked up at me. His bloodshot eyes filled with tears. "Auntie, there's no need. My mother, she's already gone." "Gone?" I thought I must have misheard him, or misunderstood. But the next moment, the boy burst into tears and handed me a blood-stained cloth from his sleeve. Suppressing the storm in my chest, I took it with trembling hands. It was a farewell letter. In it, Jiang Zhao explained that by the time we received the letter, she would have already taken her own life. She knew that staying alive would only be her son's weakness, so she chose not to be a burden. Besides, her death would disrupt the ambitions of many and give Lu Jing a legitimate excuse to raise an army and return north. I gripped the letter, eyes brimming with tears. "Sister, rest easy. I swear I'll fulfill your final wish." 21. From that day forward, Lu Jing became much quieter. I knew the pain in his heart was hard to ease, so I didn't try. I simply took care of everything. When all preparations were finally complete, I patted his head and smiled. The new capital of the dynasty will be in the south. You'll be its master now. I'm sorry, Shimmer, but this time, I'll go get your mother myself. Whatever happens, take care of yourself. Love the people. Just before I left, he suddenly grabbed my hand. His eyes were filled with fear. Andy, please don't go. You're the only one I have left now. I took off the command token I always carried and handed it to him. Then guard the home and nation that your aunt loves. This golden age will begin with you. I gently pried his fingers away, took the reins from my aide, and mounted my horse in one fluid motion. This time, I didn't look back at the boy behind me. I was heading toward the unknown, but as long as the rest of the Kwan family remained safe, it would be worth it.
22.
I led the finest soldiers the Kwan family had trained over the years and charged northward. Compared to the war-weary Liu family troops, we had a clear advantage. Everywhere we went, victory followed us like a tide. Within a year, we reached the foot of the new northern capital. Liu Jingnian's deputy general stood atop the city wall, staring down at me. He sneered. Miss Kwan, we meet again. Since you're already here, why not stay and become my wife? What's a woman like you doing yelling about war and bloodshed? I raised my chin and looked at him with utter disdain. What am I yelling about? Because of people like you. Animals who force women to die just to survive. Are you even human? And yelling isn't all I can do. I can kill you, too. His smug face twisted in rage. Fine. You've got a sharp tongue, Miss Kwan. I can out-talk you. But attacking the capital? That's treason. His Majesty will not be pleased. He waved his hand, and a frail-looking Liu Jingnian was dragged to the wall. My pupils contracted slightly at the sight of him, but I quickly regained composure. I picked up the longbow beside me, drew an arrow, and fired. Smooth, seamless. Not a moment of hesitation. By the time the deputy general realized what had happened, Liu Jingnian had already breathed his last. His eyes widened in horror as he screamed, "You lunatic! You killed the emperor. Are you insane? Emperor? That puppet you put on the throne after murdering the real one? You've got some nerve." I raised my voice. Soldiers, avenge our true emperor. Storm the capital. Bring me the traitor's head. My troops, fueled by my fury, roared and surged forward like a tidal wave. The battle lasted 3 months, and it ended with complete victory. But I lost a leg in the fight. 23. When I returned to Jiangnan, Liu Zhang had grown even taller. He looked at me with sorrow in his eyes, but soon his brows relaxed and he smiled. "You're back. That's all that matters, Auntie." Then, still smiling, he added, "No, Minister. My Grand Chancellor." I froze. Grand Chancellor? I looked at him in disbelief. But he smiled gently. "You reclaimed our land and united the North and South. You're the most capable person of our time. Of course, you're the one best suited to be Prime Minister. If anyone questions that, they can test themselves on the battlefield." The steel in Liu Zhang's eyes left no room for doubt. He was no longer the boy hiding in someone else's home. No longer a helpless youth. He was now a true emperor. I smiled and bowed. "Then I thank your Majesty." Liu Zhang came around behind me and pushed my wheelchair forward. "There's no need to thank me, Auntie. I still need you for so many things in the days to come. Together, we will usher in an age of prosperity." The end.